Welcome to Shedding the Shame. I'm your host, Tami Wong. This is where women stop whispering about the hard things. No performing, no fixing, no pretending we're fine. Just honest conversations about what we've carried, what it cost us, and how we rebuilt. You don't need a perfect story. You just need the courage to tell the truth. You are not broken. You are not dramatic. And you are not alone. Let's shed the shame. Welcome to Shedding the Shame. Today's episode is a vulnerable one. My guest is joining us anonymously, as you can see, because it's only me on the screen here if you're watching on YouTube. And that alone tells you how layered and sensitive this conversation is. We're talking about divorce. We're talking about affairs. We're talking about the kind of life chapter that can bring intense judgment from others and from ourselves. That this conversation isn't about blame. It's not about scandal. It's not about picking sides. It's about what happens when a woman realizes she's been leaving herself out of her own life. It's about including yourself in the decisions you make. It's about standing in your power, even when doing so comes at a cost. My guest shares how this season once felt shameful and isolating, and how support from friends, family, and a coach helped her evolve. She talks about unlearning what she thought love required, redefining what she deserves, and choosing herself in a way that she hadn't before. If you've ever felt stuck between who you are and who you're expected to be, if you've ever had to make a decision that others didn't understand, or if you've ever carried shame around your marriage, your choices, or your desire for more, this conversation is for you. As always on Shedding the Shame, this is a respectful, thoughtful place. This is not trauma mining, no character attacks, no sensationalizing, just an honest conversation about growth, accountability, and reclaiming your worth. Let's begin. So thank you, Jay, as I'm going to call you, for joining me today on Shedding the Shame. I really appreciate you reaching out and wanting to share this story and being willing to do that. I know it takes a lot of courage. So what helped you decide that now is the time to share? And if you want to give any kind of context or background to the situation, please feel free to do so. Yes. Good.
Was in a 7-year relationship with a married man. I got divorced, which in and of itself was a huge thing, as it is for pretty much everybody who goes through divorce. I felt very alone going through the divorce, and shame, guilt, all the things. How could I do this to my kids, etc. And somehow I mustered up the courage to do it, because at the end of the day, I was not happy. And I recognized that if I'm not happy, then I can't expect my kids to be happy. And they see it all, right?
Absolutely. Kids are very observant.
Indeed. And they're resilient.
Mhm.
So I'll just briefly say that they are thriving. And that's due to
Amazing.
both how I have shown up for them and how my now co-parent shows up for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, this man, he's somebody who I've known for many years. So that I think is a big reason why I got into the relationship with him. And why I feel like now is the time to share is because you put it out into the universe. And I saw your post on Instagram, and I think I was driving home from the gym later that day or the next day, and the thought came into my head, I have a story to tell. So here I am.
Amazing. And I'm glad you're here. So I guess going back to your marriage and kind of what made you or what led you to making the decision to leave, you mentioned in your intake form, kind of leaving yourself out of decisions. So when did you realize that you had been doing that in your life?
I don't think I actually realized that until 2 years ago. And it took me a long time to be able to change my mindset to include myself. I definitely did not include myself in my marriage. And I also did not include myself in this relationship I had post divorce, because to me, I was in love with this person. He was in love with me. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And I know that that is true. And at the same time, I was the one who had done the very hard thing and gotten a divorce, while he continued to make excuses as to why he couldn't, or why now is not the right time. And because I was so consumed by the relationship and my feelings for him, I felt like I didn't have any options. Like, my option was either to stay in this relationship that wasn't exactly what I wanted, or I could leave it. But when I thought about leaving it, I could not imagine a future where I could find somebody who is truly worthy of me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until probably 2023 that I've been working with a coach since probably, I think, 2022, 2021. That's during COVID, so everything's a little fuzzy,
Yes, for sure.
a lot fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
And she taught me how to listen to my body and how to understand where feelings show up in my body. So somatic work, I think you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
And I realized that I was walking around with like this burning sensation in my chest. And it's because I was making decisions that weren't including my needs and wants and desires.
Yeah, I think a lot of women can probably relate to that last sentence, for sure, unfortunately. But I think that we're kind of all brainwashed, taught, however you want to put it, in society, that our needs don't matter as much as everybody else's. And, we should do whatever we need to do to make other people comfortable and,
Yeah.
fuck your feelings kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's really cool. I mean, somatic work is very powerful. Even just, I do breath work, and like, even doing that and taking 5-10 minutes to really like drop into my breath and pay attention to where I have tension in my body. Because the rest of the day I am moving, I am taking care of things, I am not paying attention to how I'm feeling, and I'm ignoring if I'm tired, And so I think, yeah, there's a lot of power in really sitting with feelings and listening to your body and seeing where that shows up. That's really cool. That's very cool that you did that work. And I'm sure it led to a lot of breakthroughs, maybe even besides, the subject we're talking about. So you can answer this question in relation to your marriage or this affair or both. What kind of things were you tolerating then that now you didn't have to?
In my marriage, I tolerated my parents being treated with disrespect. I tolerated bearing the brunt of childcare and then being overruled by decisions that I thought were best for my girls.
Mm-hmm.
In the relationship, the 7-year relationship, at first he said, we're not talking about this anymore. Because I wanted to always talk about like when, where, why, how, like,
Yeah.
when are you going to get a divorce? When can we be together?
Yeah.
And early on he was like, this is what we're agreeing to. Like, we've agreed to this, even though, and again, I agreed to it because I didn't feel like I had any other choice.
Yeah. You had no
Right?
agency for yourself.
I had no agency for myself, which I gave him all my power. I gave it all away. And since 2023, when I started on this mindset shift of how do I include myself in decisions, obviously it didn't happen overnight because it wasn't until last year that I truly ended the relationship. I tried multiple times and he was always able to reel me back in. But every time I was practicing, and every time I learned something about myself and about what I needed and how to articulate my needs. And, you know, I don't even think I can really describe it, but I finally got to the place where I said, enough is enough. I deserve better. I deserve somebody who is going to fight for me. I deserve somebody who is willing to do a very hard thing because it's not because it's what I want, but it's because it's what he wants. And the thing that is that I guess that's been on my mind as I was thinking about talking to you, and also because I've been watching A Million Little Things on Hulu.
Oh, I love that show so much. Can I tell you a fun side note on that?
Yeah.
They recorded that show in Vancouver.
Okay. I knew it was not filmed in Boston.
No, absolutely not. They recorded it in Vancouver, and so Romney Malco is one of the actors. He lived down the street from me.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And I got to meet him a few times, and he was the nicest guy.
Oh my gosh.
Him and his partner and their kids, they were amazing people. So super side note, but like I loved that show. And I always love meeting, like if I meet celebrities, which I do sometimes, I run into them because Vancouver, they shoot a lot of stuff up here. And he was just like, seriously, most down to earth, nicest person. So anyway,
Beautiful.
Super side note,
so
go back. Million Little Things, amazing.
As you know, a big theme of that show is lying and what lies do, and the fact that basically when you strip it all away, people lie because they don't want to change. Because change is hard, change is painful, and change takes courage. But if nothing changes, then nothing changes, and nothing was changing in this relationship. And I don't want to be in a relationship that's built on lies.
Absolutely. And 7 years is a long time to wait for somebody to come through on a promise. And also, it's not like you didn't know what you were asking him to give up, because you did that.
Exactly.
You gave up the exact thing you were asking. You did, like you said, you did the hard thing. You made the adult decision, and you lost some, I'm sure, a lot of things for that. You know, it's a huge change to your life. It's a huge change for your kids, as you said. And so to give that up and to think that you have a partner that values you enough to do the same, and then to see him repeatedly make the decision not to, can imagine was very heartbreaking. And I want to speak for you, but if I were in the situation, it would feel like a huge betrayal. For me personally.
Very, absolutely. Yes, with the heartbreaking. Yes, with the betrayal. And last year I was talking with my coach, and I couldn't understand if because again, I do believe that he loves me and that in another world we are each other's people. Like, he's my person, I'm his person. And I was saying to her, I'm like, he must not love me as much as he says he does, because he isn't willing to do the work. And she said, it's not that he doesn't love you, he just is not capable
of giving you what you need.
Yeah, he's letting the machine run him. He is oblivious to the machine. And unless he somehow wakes up from it, like, he's not going to change, and he's not going to develop the capability to be who you want him to be.
And some people just don't have the courage to do the hard thing.
Yeah.
And that's hard. Very different situation, but I've been in a situation with a family member who, you know, I wanted to have a relationship with, and I thought it was going to happen. And same, similar thing. They said they wanted that too. They said they love me so much. And, I haven't heard from them in over 6 months since that, I promised we're going to make this work.
Right.
So I get it in a different sense. And I know how devastated and heartbroken I was at the hope of that relationship happening and then it not.
Yes.
Romantic love versus familial love, but similar heartbreak.
Exactly. Yeah, you cannot, the only person you can change is yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I mean, I read I listened to it, I should say, the let them theory, which was very helpful for me because it's like, on one level, that you can't change anybody else, but hearing her talk about it in very real terms and, the science of it and all of that, was beneficial. And yeah, I want to bang my head against the wall sometimes because it's like, we have this beautiful thing and I know you're unhappy. So don't you want to be happy? Like, yeah, there's going to be hard times. It's not easy, but the light is so much brighter on the other side. But yeah, some people just can't see that.
They can't leave the familiar.
Yeah.
It's too scary. Yeah. I also read the let them theory and it helped me a lot in those relationships, those family relationships that I've struggled with. It's common sense in a lot of ways, but when you actually read it coming from somebody else's, pen or computer versus thinking it yourself, it validates some things. So it sounds like 2023, you're working with a coach. That's kind of when you were making these big decisions of starting to step away. Was there a specific moment that you can remember where you were thinking like, I can't keep abandoning myself? Was there one situation that happened that really was like eye-opening for you? Or if there wasn't, you could say no. But I was just curious if there was anything that triggered.
I think, there were a million little moments. There was, any time that he and his wife went to a party together, or he told me what he got her for Mother's Day, like,
Why, dude? Why would he tell you that? Bro, come on. Well, you're the last person who would want to know that.
And the thing is, like, the burning sensation I had inside of me, right? That was because I had these like bottled up emotions and feelings, and I was not including myself. And there would be things he would do that would set me the fuck off. And I would become this passive aggressive bitch. And it's, that's why, because I wasn't allowing myself to say exactly how I felt and demand what I need and then ultimately walk away when I wasn't getting it. So there was a lot of drama, for sure. And I think, after you hear the same excuse so many times, you finally just get tired of having that be the answer. So I think, yeah, I just got tired of the status quo and not getting what I want. And but that moment, that call that I had with the coach in 2023, where she asked me, how are you including yourself? That was definitely a pivotal moment.
Yeah, it makes you answer some hard truths.
Yeah.
So obviously this topic and having an affair, and that's a hard thing. It's a touchy subject. It's, I imagine, something that's pretty hard to talk to people about, and it's got to be somebody you trust a lot, and you're probably, hiding it from the world.
Uh-huh.
But you mentioned in your submission that you were supported by friends, family, and a coach, which we've talked about your coach. But, who were you able to tell? Obviously, you don't need to be specific. How did they help support you? And how did that change your ability to see yourself differently?
Yes. So my parents knew pretty much from the beginning. And that it was we went through some stuff. It was an evolution because I'm their little girl. They did not like it one bit.
I'm sure.
But ultimately, they love me and said, we're here for you, whatever you need. We don't agree with this. We don't think it's right, but we love you and we support you. And my friends, at first I was really afraid to tell even my closest friends in the world. But every time I told a close friend, it just felt better to let that person in who loves and cares about me and knows me so well. Even though, my friends, my family, they were always holding up a mirror to me to say, like, this is not right what he's doing. He is gaslighting you. He's manipulating you. And a therapist early on, the very first therapist I had who helped me through my divorce, and then helped me in the beginning phases of this relationship. She was so like, I knew that not that she judged me, but I felt, I guess, kind of judged by her. Like, she sees me, this, independent woman. I've just gone through this divorce. I have kids. I have a great job. And yet I'm in this dead end relationship. But the one thing she said to me that I still think about today is, he's showing you who he is. He is showing you that he is a liar. And he's showing you that he can't do hard things. And at the time, I totally disregarded that because I wasn't ready to hear it. And so that's, I think about, oh my God, I was in this relationship with a married man for 7 years. What the fuck? How could I do that? And it was, these things take time. Reinventing, not even reinventing yourself. What's the word? Changing your mindset, including yourself, standing in your power, setting boundaries, giving yourself grace, understanding your body and what your body's telling you. These things don't happen overnight.
No, they take a lot of internal work.
Yeah, and you have to go through the pain and the heartache and difficult things, and you have to feel it and be with it and make your decision accordingly, with yourself front and center. But yeah, it doesn't happen overnight, and it's hard to hear or to see the mirror that's being reflected back at you and agree with what your friends and family are telling you when you just don't have that capacity at that time.
Yeah, because your friends and family, I mean, they know you, these close friends, obviously really well. And I'm really glad to hear that you had your parents' support, even though, of course, they didn't love the situation, but that they were able to separate how they felt about the situation from how they felt about you and still be there for you. Like, that's such a gift. And yeah, being able to talk to friends about it, like this podcast, like I hope will do for people. Like, the more you talk about things, the less shame you hold, the less power they hold over you, the more you can kind of separate yourself from decisions you made and think about it and work things through. And yeah, in terms of what you said about taking time and, these things take time, like, girl, I mean, you're preaching to the choir. Like, I know this because, and if you have not read the book, It's Not You, I will tell you about it later. And I should link to it in the notes. Like, it's an amazing book. It's about being in relationships with narcissistic people and how you can heal from those things. It doesn't focus on the narcissist. It focuses on the person who is in the relationship with that person, how it impacts them, and how you can move forward with your life and heal from that situation. But I was definitely in relationships with people who gaslit me and, manipulated me for many years. And you're right. It takes a long time to realize what's happening, to name it, to realize it's not you, because they're going to make you feel like it's your fault, everything that's happening. They're going to project their insecurities onto you. And anything that you try to bring up as being hurtful, they're going to flip on you.
Yes.
And it's maddening, and it makes you feel like you're going crazy. So, of course, when you're in a relationship like that, it's a mind fuck. Like, you constantly blame yourself. Like, oh yeah, it must be me. I'm the problem. So to get through that and process that and come to that realization takes years. And so it doesn't surprise me that it took you a while to see that, because there's patterns and there's love bombing and there's, times when the relationships are fantastic and you're so happy and this person is lovely and wonderful and treats you so well and you feel so loved. And then it's not good. But when they go back and forth, it's really hard to know what's who they really are.
Yes.
And what's the mask they're putting on.
Exactly. And you add in incredible sex.
Yeah, right? Which is another mind fuck. I mean, that's not easy to find.
No, it's really hard to walk away from.
I can imagine. Well, I know. But yes, it's, yeah. And I mean, for women too, like, we emotionally connect with sexual partners. And it's very different than how men are with that most of the time. So that adds a whole other layer of complication when you've got that physical and emotional connection to disentangle yourself from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does standing in your power look like now compared to before?
Oh my gosh. So I think you were talking in the beginning, I think you were touching on like people pleasing. And I, at my core, am a people pleaser. And I wouldn't go so far as to say not anymore, but I am able to establish boundaries and say no in a way that it never even occurred to me to have boundaries or to say no. And I also have found at work that I'm a lot more vocal and I express my opinions and my thoughts. I ask questions. I challenge. I had a situation last year with a colleague. I was doing a different job than my normal job for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And this colleague was pretty toxic. And he was we had a meeting with the new vice president of the group. And he was trying to throw the whole core team under the bus. And I called him out on it.
Good.
I said, that is not true.
I love that. I wish I had been there.
I love that. Because I felt it was like the somatic and the verbal coming together. Like, I felt the anger and the injustice of it, like, rising up in my sternum, and it flowed up through my neck and my throat, and then the words came out of my mouth, but in a very respectful manner. So that was pretty awesome. And I would not have been able to do that even, in 2024, I don't think.
So when that happened, did you stop and go, oh, holy shit? Like, did you catch yourself off guard?
No, like, I mean, afterwards I was kind of like, oh yeah, wow, I did that. And that felt really good. And it was the right thing to do. So yeah, I think that's the thing is, like, it doesn't surprise me that my feedback from my manager last year was like, I love how you're contributing and speaking up and all these things. Like, yeah, that's who I am now.
Yeah. Awesome. How did choosing yourself feel, and what did it cost you?
So this is one of those both things can be true type situations. I feel amazing and happy and I love myself, and I'm better now, but I'm still carrying around some heartbreak. And I think the interesting thing is last year, when it finally ended, I was not at a point where I felt confident that I would meet someone else. I did online dating for a little bit, which I'm not doing that anymore. That's a
Yeah.
different podcast. But over the past probably only 2 months-ish, I'm noticing that I'm seeing, other men like at work or out and about in the world. And for the first time in a very long time, I'm like, oh, that guy's kind of attractive. So that's a good sign. And I am wrapping my brain around and my heart around the belief and the conviction that my guy's out there and our orbits are slowly getting closer and closer together. And at some point in the future, hopefully sooner rather than later, they will intersect.
Yeah.
It'll be an ordinary day and something extraordinary will happen.
Absolutely. I believe that for you.
Thank you.
I absolutely believe that for you.
Trying to manifest it.
I will help you manifest it. I'll put all the things in the universe. Yes. And I feel like you kind of just said it, but anything else that choosing yourself gave you?
I think, well, I've been really focused on self-care. I mean, how can you not with all the things on Instagram about?
Oh, yeah. These exceptional times we're living in.
I just got a patch a couple weeks ago, estrogen patch, which so far is amazing.
Welcome to the club.
Oh,
Yes.
my
I've been
gosh.
on it for like 6 months. It changes your life.
Yeah. But I've reduced my drinking because I was, during COVID, I started drinking pretty much every night and I never stopped. So I have finally reduced it significantly. I'm doing strength training twice a week. I have my dog who is like the light of my life.
So cute.
So yeah, I'm just taking care of myself
Good.
in a way that I was not before.
Good.
And also journaling and every once in a while screaming in the car or into a pillow.
Yes. Screaming and rage dancing, it's underrated.
Totally underrated.
Feels great.
So good.
Especially right now when there's a lot to rage about. Again, I feel like you talked about this a little bit, but I want to pose the question just in case there's anything else that comes to your mind. But what did this chapter teach you about what you deserve and what your worth is?
Okay, so this morning on Instagram, of course, there were a bunch of quotes, but this one resonated with me knowing I was going to talk to you about this today. And it goes like this. People give you what they are, not what you deserve. What you deserve, you give to yourself.
Well, that's good.
And that resonated with me because I gave myself happiness. I gave myself the ability to live in line with my values. And, that doesn't mean I'm not heartbroken and I don't still think about him and have feelings for him, but I am, I think, a lot more conscious and deliberate about the choices that I make every day. And if I'm feeling sad and I need to just feel sad, that's okay. So yeah, giving myself grace and knowing that, again, I got to quote my coach. She says, the universe is benevolent and things don't happen to you, they happen for you.
That's really good too. And so true, even if you can't see it in the moment. Yeah. Yeah. And, the way people treat you is never really a reflection of you and who you are. It's a reflection of them and what they're capable of and the person they are. So that's hard to remember a lot of times when you're hurting, but I've found it to be very true in situations that have been hard for me, even if I don't understand it at the time.
Exactly.
When you think about this chapter of life, what do you think most people misunderstand about situations like this?
I know, just based on my own experience, I know that for my friends and my family, it was very hard for them to understand how I could have such strong feelings for him, despite the fact that he wasn't willing to get a divorce. I think it just reinforces the fact that unless you're in the relationship, you don't know anything about it. And people you have to go through this to get to the other side. If I don't, I mean, it wouldn't, I don't think even if I had ended it early on, I wouldn't have had the growth that I've had. I forgot what your question was.
That's okay. That, what do you think most people
Yes.
misunderstand about
Yes.
affairs?
Yes.
And how you get into that situation. And something that came to my mind is I think a lot of people blame the woman in an affair, which is such bullshit. And there are two people cooperating, and, two people have to be there to make that situation happen. So I think that that's something that makes me angry when people assume, and it goes back to the society stuff and blaming women for things and the patriarchy and all the things.
Yeah.
And, women tempting things and whatever. And that's such crap. And especially in your situation, it's someone you'd known for years. It's someone, that was in your life for a long time. And there were obviously mutual feelings there and mutual decisions there. And so, yeah, that was the first thing I thought of when, what I could think about people misunderstanding about affairs. But
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, to grossly oversimplify, why do people have affairs? Because there's something that they're unhappy about, or they don't like, or they want to change in their current situation, and they don't have the guts to address it head on, to try to work it out. They're taking the easy way out and lying because they want to avoid what they perceive as a more painful path, when the irony is that having the affair is the more painful path.
100%. And they're hurting two people versus
if not more.
if not more. Absolutely. Yeah. If there are kids involved, if there are other, more, versus making the adult decision, cutting off a relationship they're not happy in, and, doing it in a healthier, more adult way.
I do want to say, in case there is any person listening who is the one who is married and having an affair with an unmarried individual, no judgment from me at all. Obviously, I totally get it. I know how hard these things are and how complicated, and there's so many feelings and emotions and people and all the things. And I hope, if anybody's in that situation listening, that they take the time to think about what it is that they're essentially running away from or avoiding by having this affair. And what would make you happy? And how do you include yourself?
Yeah. I think that's really important. Yeah. And like, and I hope everybody listening knows, this is a judgment-free space. And I have been through a lot of things that I have felt shame around in my life. And I have a lot of friends who have been in, situations they felt shame around. And this space is not for judging anybody. So if you're judging anyone you're listening to on this podcast is not for you. And I appreciate you saying that about, if you're the person who's married, who's having an affair, because every situation is different. You can't assume what's going on behind closed doors in that person's life. And so, you just, you can't assume. I think if a woman listening is in a similar situation to what you were, where she is the unmarried person, having an affair with a married man or a married woman, what would you want her to hear?
She is not alone. She has more power than she realizes. She is stronger than she knows. She just needs to listen to her body, trust herself, and give herself grace to be vulnerable and ask for what she needs. And that she's the only one who can change her life. And I hope she'll find a way to do that. I would be happy to. My coach is truly amazing. I would love for her to work for every single human being on the planet.
And I'm like, who is this person? I need to talk to them.
So if anybody is interested, I'm happy. I'll share the name with you, Tami.
Yeah, I can put her link in the show notes if anybody wants to have her info. Cool. Yeah, that'd be great. We need more good therapists and more good coaches in the world, especially for women.
100%.
Because a lot of coaches are very male centric, and just the advice you're going to give a male versus female is so different. So I think that's great that you have someone that's that you feel has been so supportive and pivotal in your life through these situations. I always like to ask the same question last. So what does shedding the shame mean to you?
Accepting and owning my actions. Loving myself for all of it. And knowing that I can do anything. And the pain, the heartbreak, the devastation, the anger, the sadness, all of those emotions exist for a reason. The shame. And being able to experience them and then kind of hold them out and look at them and ask and inquire and be curious about, why am I feeling that way? What is causing that? is something that I've learned through this, that, I'm a better person today than I was 7 years ago. I'm stronger. I know my worth. And that's a poem called The Summer Day. And the last line of her poem is, "What will you do with your one wild and precious life?"
Heard that before.
Yeah.
I love that line.
So beautiful.
Yeah. And I think that's a great place to end this. And what a gift that you went through a really hard thing, but yeah, it's made you stronger, better, more sure of yourself. And sometimes we have to go through those things to become who we are. So thank you so much for talking to me today about a very sensitive and scary and vulnerable topic. I really appreciate your honesty and just being willing to open yourself up to this conversation.
Thank you, Tami. It was a pleasure.
Bye, everybody. We'll talk soon. Thank you for being here and for listening to another powerful conversation on shedding the shame. If something in today's episode resonated with you, I want you to sit with that. Let it land. Let it remind you that whatever you're carrying, you don't have to carry it quietly. Shame survives in silence. Healing begins when we speak. If this episode moved you, share it with a woman who needs to hear it. Start the conversation. Send the text. Have the brave talk. And if you're ready to stop whispering about your own story, keep coming back. These conversations are just getting started. Until next time, keep telling the truth, keep taking up space, and keep shedding the shame.